Recently, I have noticed an odd trend. It's not just in my own life, it's in the life of a lot of people around me, a lot of people that I know and care about. That the talents and the gifts that they have are hidden in obscurity. And I understand there's a reason and a season for all of these things. And sometimes those gifts and talents are hidden in obscurity because we're in a growth process. We have things that we need to learn and discover. We have time to prepare. A sniper, for an example, going through sniper school, doesn't generally run around in the public with a big banner on his back going, I'm training to be a sniper. Now, if you're training for the Olympics or something like that, you might be competing at local levels, and so everyone knows that's what you're doing, and they see you competing, and they see you advancing in the ranks, and they see you getting better and better, and they see you in the limelight as you win at one level to qualify for the next, etc. The same in golf, the same in tennis, the same in even billiards. You have to play in a league and win regularly before you can qualify to play at the nationals, and then you've got to play on the big stage in front of all of those people at a good level before you can go to the finals. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people who are being prepared in the background. People are being trained up in a way that their training and their accomplishments are not public. They're not designed to be. Maybe like someone who's one day going to be a professor, but they're going to spend 10 to 12 years in school, in academia, before they take a job as a professor. And even then, before their big book comes out, before their number one bestseller, before their tenure as a professor, they've got to pay their dues. They've got to do the time before everybody notices. And I think that's the case for a lot of people in a lot of different jobs and a lot of different professions. There are a lot of young, gifted communicators who want to pastor a church or run for politics or own a company yesterday. And they feel like because they have these great gifts and talents that the world should just bow aside and let them charge forward. And yet the reality is there's a lot of preparation needed before you take the helm as the CEO of a major company. There's a lot of preparation necessary before you take over as the senior pastor or the lead educator or the principal or the superintendent. And it's not just about the amount of education that you have. It's about the experiences. It's about the maturity. It's about perseverance. It's about stick-to-itiveness. It's about grit. And yes, there are very gifted, very talented, very intelligent people who have made their way to the top. They've made their way to the front. They've wiggled their way through the crowd and gotten noticed. And for many of them, Johnny Manziel is a good example of someone with great talent, great capability, great ability, but not the character to support it. And I find that there are many people who are not willing to do what's necessary to be prepared in here to do what they're capable of doing on the outside. And so their can do and their will do are completely different. What they can do, what they're capable of, is incredible. Gifted and talented beyond measure. Very few people have ever been able to do what they can do. But they're not willing to do the unnoticed, the unfamous. I know the proper word is infamous, but I mean, if it's not recognizable enough, they don't really want to be involved. They want to be involved because they stand out. They want to be involved because there's accolades to come with it. They want to be involved because it's on the front page of the newspaper or on primetime media. But are they willing to do the behind the scenes? Are they willing to do the hard stuff? I remember taking a job right out of the military. I was pretty convinced already that I was a good leader. I was 23, maybe 24. No, I was about 23. And had the opportunity to take a job as a manager in training at a pizza shop. And the first day, I was a busboy. My name tag didn't even say manager in training. It just said the name of the pizza place and my name. And my job was to crawl around on the floor on my hands and knees underneath the tables where the little kids had just eaten and pick up their pasta and their pizza that they had ground into the carpet under the table. My job was to clean up the food that got taken into the game room when there wasn't supposed to be any food in there. And that was my job for the first day, and the second day, and the third day. And I'm thinking, this just doesn't even seem right. And then on day 4, I was actually shown where the cooler was and was asked to help restock the salad bar. Woohoo! Big promotion. By the end of the second week, I had made it to dishwasher. And I asked, what about the people that cut pizza? Don't you need people to help cut pizza? Don't you need people that can make pizza? And the manager said, well, yeah, eventually you'll get there. And this went on for a couple more days, and I finally just stopped him and I said, listen, I thought you hired me to be a manager in training. When do I start learning management stuff? He said, oh, you are learning management stuff. I said, I don't think I can do this. This is not what I'm cut out for. He goes, actually, I think you're going to be very good as a manager. You seem to be picking up all the other areas very quickly. I said, well, why do your managers pick up pasta? He said, oh, managers don't pick up pasta. But in order to understand how to do the job well, you have to know what everyone's role is. He said, the truth is there will be people that we will hire to bus tables, and not only will they be perfectly satisfied bussing tables, but that will be about the top of what they're qualified to do at this point. And so they will bus tables for a long period of time, months, some of them years. And they might be promoted from table busser to dishwasher, but they probably won't ever go any further than that. And then there will be some that will make their way up to pizza cutting, or some who've already worked in cutting pizza or making pizza, and we'll hire them right into that position. He said, but for somebody like you, I think management is in your future, and I think that if you'll work your way through all of these positions so that you'll understand all of these jobs, one day you could run your own store. And I said, I didn't get this job to pick up pasta. So thank you, but no thank you. And I left. I quit. I went and served tables instead. And while I was waiting tables, it was pretty ironic because I was the only male on shift from the midnight till 7 a.m. that with my white shirt and tie on, many people would presume that I was the manager, and that felt pretty good, but I really had the same job I had before. Putting food on the table, taking food off the table, picking up food off the floor. Pretty much the same job I had before. I was making a little bit more money. I hope that illustration helps you to ask the question, am I actually living out what I'm capable of? Am I willing to do what doesn't look, seem, or feel like the advancement, like a promotion, like I'm important at all, even if I'm in obscurity? My youngest son played football from the time he was early middle school. And many times they would tell him, well, you're not really fast enough to be a running back. And then he would catch a few touchdowns. And they're like, well, maybe. And then they would tell him, but you're not big enough to be on the line. Now he's almost 6 foot tall and 250 plus pounds. And he's been talked out of football. The game that he used to love. He played for a couple of people who had all the excuses in the world. They only wanted the ones that were superheroes now. They didn't really want to train anyone to become. They only wanted the ones that were superheroes now. If you're already the fastest guy on the field, we'll give you the ball. If you're already the biggest guy, we'll put you on the line. Even if you don't show up for practice, even if you don't discipline yourself, even if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do, if you've already got the natural talent, we're going to put you in there. And unfortunately, that's the kind of training, the kind of leadership that leads to a Terrell Owens or a Johnny Manziel. The ability to do without the willingness to do, the can do without the will do. We see them lead churches. We see them run businesses into the ground. We see them hurt people. It happens on a regular basis, but don't let your will do stand in the way of your can do. Don't let the fact that you're unwilling to surrender, to submit, to train, to grow up, to mature, like I was, unwilling to work through the process to become a manager of a pizza shop. I was too immature at the time. I was unwilling to do the grunt work, the daily dirty work, the nasty stuff, they should be doing that stuff, to earn my stripes, to do what I was capable of doing. What I can do is manage a pizza shop. I wasn't willing to do what was necessary to get there. Sometimes obscurity is only hidden by surrender. It's not that you don't have the talent. It's not that you don't have the gifts. It's not that you don't have the ability. It's that you don't have the willingness to sit in the shadows while you're being trained. If you were being trained to be a sniper, how many people would you want to know that that was your job? Nobody. Because if they knew that, they'd take you out early. There's an opportunity for you right now to take all the can do, all of the capability, all of the talents, the gifts, the skills, even the training that you've had, and continue to just massage them into something powerful and poignant. And not be focused on what you have to do right now to make your future what you want it to be. The idea of fake it until you make it, I'm not a big fan of that. Now, I am a big fan of understanding who you are and knowing your real identity, and knowing that when you're operating in your real identity, you have power beyond belief. And I am firmly convinced that many of us operate in our daily lives not being who we were made to be, not doing what we can do, because what we will do is so much less. One more analogy, actually, illustration. Think how many young people today are addicted to video games or addicted to their cell phones, and while the world is going on around them, the opportunity to get involved, to do something spectacular with their lives, is being ignored. Because they're stuck in their video games or stuck in some other lifelong distraction where all their capabilities are being hidden. I mean, it used to be that middle school and high school boys and girls were really fascinated with the idea of being a professional athlete. They loved the idea of the amount of money they could make, and they were willing to work the long, hard hours to show up at the basketball court or show up at the volleyball court and stay late and practice extra and drill and skill every waking minute. Now they all want to be YouTubers and make ridiculous videos. Kind of like this one. No, seriously, they want to do things that are provocative, even if they're inappropriate or borderline inappropriate, because that's where the money's at. Or they want to write video games or develop apps. Nothing wrong with that. Unless you're only driven by that idea, notion, opportunity, because you're only driven by the wealth and attracted to the limelight. Is it what you were gifted to do? What you were talented to do? What you were made to do? Is it the highest expression of your can do? Or is it just being limited by your will do? Wherever you're at in life right now, whatever position you have as a vocational title or a volunteer title or an athletic title, ask yourself the honest question. Am I willing to surrender my maximized gift in order to take it to the next level? Am I willing to do what doesn't seem pleasant for now so that I can be the very best at what I'm capable of? I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.